Good morning, girls. Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum assalam.
How are you all, my dears?
Good, how are you? Good.
So, who is the student of the month? Is it Leen?
Yes.
Congratulations, my dear.
Thank you.
Very well deserved.
Thank you so much.
You're most welcome. Okay, so let's see how many attendees we have. Do we have any requests? Do I need to invite someone to the lesson who's facing a problem? Okay. Not so far. Okay, we have 26 attendees. So let me quickly download the attendance. Okay, great. So we solved the worksheets for chapter 1, chemical energy and ATP, right?
Yes.
Okay, great. So let's start our topic, chapter 4.2, which is overview of photosynthesis. We are on page number 97 from the textbook for the ones who have the textbook in front of you. And let's discuss a verse from the Quran which is related to photosynthesis. In the Holy Quran, more than 1400 years ago, the scientific fact is by the dawn, the plant cells, they absorb carbon dioxide in photosynthesis and give oxygen. So vice versa, dawn takes oxygen and gives carbon dioxide, and this is typical, the breathing process. Okay, and this has been stated and by the dawn when it breathes. Okay, so it has been stated in the Quran. You can see the verse which also states this. Okay, subhanallah. Though the Quran was revealed 1400 years ago, all this information regarding science was already in it. Though it was discovered now recently in the 20th and 21st century by the various scientists, Allah has stated about all this in the Quran, which was revealed many years ago. So, subhanallah, let's start our class on that positive note. The objectives for this topic are to discuss the overall process of photosynthesis, to relate producers to photosynthesis, and to discuss the light dependent and the light independent reactions. Okay. So before we move on, let's quickly do a KWL. How do you relate to this picture on the screen?
It's something found in the leaf.
Yeah, what is it?
Probably the chloroplast because it's green.
Right. Obviously it is green and you don't know the structure of it until we study about it in detail. But for now, yes, obviously it is the chloroplast which is present in the leaf, which has the green color. And this is how the structure looks like. Okay, great. So we are discussing about the chloroplast which is present in the leaf. That is why the leaf is also shown there, the leaf cell and also the leaf beneath. Okay, great, Leen. Let's move ahead. Okay, so before we begin the topic, whose turn is it today to recap and to discuss about the video?
It's my turn.
Whose turn is it, darling? Halima, my dear. Yeah, are you, Layan, why are you raising your hand? You have a question?
Yes, yes, I still can't find the MCQ for worksheet 7.
Yeah, you still can't find because I still didn't upload it here, Layan. I'm so sorry. I've been so busy. I wanted to do it yesterday also when I sent you a message, but I was occupied with some other work. I'm sorry. Today, for sure, I shall upload all of them for this entire chapter 2. Okay, Layan?
Okay, no problem.
Okay.
It's okay, no problem.
I'm sorry, my dear. Yeah, who was it? Halima, my dear. Are you, were you supposed to recap or to discuss about the video?
Recap.
Recap. Go ahead.
Okay, I'm in the last.
Your voice is not clear, my dear. Can you please be louder?
My microphone doesn't work that well.
Okay.
Okay, in the last lesson, organisms break down carbon-based molecules to make into food, because the food that we have doesn't just have ATP that the body can use, because it has to be digested first and broken down. So the amount of ATP molecules produced depends on the type of molecule that is being broken down. The types of molecules are either proteins, carbohydrates, or lipids. Out of all three, lipids store the most energy and yield the most ATP molecules when broken down. But it's not the most broken down because excess fat is stored to provide energy.
Okay.
While both store around the same amount of energy, carbohydrates are more likely to be broken down to form ATP than proteins are. And this is because the primary function of the amino acid is to proteins enough to give energy. In cases when there's a lack of carbohydrates in the body, protein will be used instead of carbohydrates. Also, take that per milligram, carbohydrates have 4 calories, proteins also have 4, and lipids have 9.
Okay. Thank you so much, dear Halima. We really can't make out, but I'm sure you're talking about how the energy is released from the ATP molecule, and you were also discussing about how much energy 1 gram of protein, carbohydrate, and fat yields, right? Thank you so much, Master. That was very good recap. I would have allowed you to speak more, but we really can't make out. It's really a lot of disturbance when you're talking. Thank you so much for your efforts, Ya Halima. It was really well recapped. Okay, whose turn was it to speak about the video, my dears? Yeah? Then see, whose name did I send yesterday? Haneen. Is Haneen in the lesson today? Haneen, my dear. Yeah, I can see Haneen Khalid.
Yes.
Yes, are you prepared to speak about the video, my dear Haneen? Did you watch the video which you sent to the group yesterday?
No, sorry. I didn't have time.
Why, may I ask?
Actually, yesterday I have that homework for math, and I forget that video. Sorry.
Did you check the message on the group that we assigned you to speak today?
Yes.
But don't you think it is very irresponsible on your part that even after checking your name, you're not ready? Yeah, Haneen, I told you even earlier that whoever is assigned to speak, you will speak. Or else you should have yesterday itself informed me that, Miss, I cannot do it. Please assign anybody else, and I would have done that.
Okay, sorry.
Okay, no problem. From next time, you should not repeat it. For the next class, you will do the recap. Okay?
Okay.
Even for the other girls, my dears, no excuses, please. If you have any genuine excuse, like she said, maybe you're going out, you had some important work, then definitely we will consider and someone else will be given a turn. But you should inform me beforehand. You will not wait till the nick of the moment and in the class tell me that I'm sorry, my mic is not working. I'm sorry, I couldn't join the session. I'm sorry, I couldn't prepare for the video. No. Okay? All right, so can someone else speak about the video? What was the video about? Who wants to speak about it?
Can I?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead, Lee.
The video basically summarized the process of photosynthesis and the equation, which is, I think, 6 carbon dioxide plus 6 water yields to 1 glucose molecule and 6 oxygen molecules. Yeah, and it described its process. So first of all, there are light-dependent reactions and light-independent reactions. The light-dependent reactions require sunlight and water as well, and they produce oxygen as a byproduct. And the light-independent reactions, they basically use the energy to form glucose.
Perfect. Excellent. So that was pretty much summarized. That was what was shown in the video yesterday. It was about the process of photosynthesis, how it is divided into light-dependent and light-independent reactions, as Leen just now explained. Thank you so much, my dear Leen. Okay, so let's discuss about all this process in detail according to the topic. So solar powered calculators, homes and cars are just a few things that use energy from the sunlight. Okay, so not only us humans and plants, but also there are a few non-living things which use the sun's energy, meaning solar energy for them to work, right? Like the solar cars, and also they are using the solar panels and in homes these days in order to warm up the water instead of using the geysers on electricity. And we also have the solar powered calculators. Okay, so in a way you are also solar powered. Are we also solar powered? Do we need sunlight?
Yes.
Why?
Well, the plants need sunlight, and we get our foods from plants, so we're indirectly related to the.
Yeah, that is also true, but also for the absorption of vitamin D. We get vitamin D from the sunlight when we get exposed to sunlight, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so vitamin D is very, very important for us. If you get exposed to the sunlight before 8 a.m. in the morning, even if you get exposed only for 10 minutes to that sunlight, then you will get enough vitamin D. Okay, so even we need solar energy. Of course, sunlight, it does not directly give you the energy you need to play a sport or read this page. That energy comes from ATP. The molecules of ATP are often made from the breakdown of sugars. But how are sugars made? Is what we are going to talk about. Plants capture some of the energy in sunlight and change it into chemical energy which is stored in the sugars. So let's talk about that process in detail. Now, photosynthetic organisms are known as producers. Obviously, all the plants, they are given the name producers because they can photosynthesize, they can make their own food. And we heterotrophs, we depend on the other producers or autotrophs for our food. Right? So some organisms are called producers because they produce the source of chemical energy for themselves and also for other organisms like the plants too. Plants as well as some bacteria and protists are the producers that are the main sources of chemical energy for most organisms on Earth. So we studied earlier as well that not only plants, there are some autotrophic bacteria as well, and also a few types of plant-like protists which can photosynthesize and make their own food, and this food is helpful to the other organisms on Earth. Certainly animals that eat only plants obtain their chemical energy directly from plants. And animals that eat other animals and bacteria and fungi that decompose other organisms get their chemical energy indirectly from plants. Okay, so all the herbivores which directly eat plants, they get the energy from the plants, of course, directly. Whereas the animals and the other humans like us, which when we eat other animals like the meat and the chicken and all, and the other organisms which are also the bacteria and fungi who form the food for various animals. So all of them, they get their energy indirectly from the plants. So when a wolf, it eats a rabbit, the tissues of the rabbit, they provide the wolf with the source of chemical energy. So the rabbit's tissues are built from its food source, which is the sugars and other carbon-based molecules in the plants. So these sugars are made through photosynthesis. So if it is a carnivore, a wolf which is eating a rabbit, of course wolf is getting energy from the rabbit's meat. And this rabbit's tissue or meat, it is built from the food source, which is a plant, right? So of course rabbit, it eats plants. So the sugars and other carbon-based molecules in plants make the rabbit's tissue. So these sugars are made, of course, through photosynthesis. So we all know what is photosynthesis. Photosynthesis is a process that captures energy from sunlight to make sugars that store the chemical energy. So over here, the sugars, they contain the chemical energy. Therefore, directly or indirectly, the energy for almost all organisms begins as sunlight, right? Because why? Because plants, they need sunlight in order to make their own food, and all the other organisms which depend on plants or other animals which eat plants are getting their energy from the main source, which is the sunlight. right? So sunlight, it has several types of radiant energy such as ultraviolet radiation, microwaves, and the visible light that lets you see. Plants absorb visible light for photosynthesis, and visible light appears white, but it is made up of several colors or wavelengths of light. So this is about the sunlight. Now let's talk about chlorophyll, which is again an important pigment which is present in the plants, which is very important for photosynthesis. Now chlorophyll is a molecule in chloroplast, which is shown in this figure. They are referring to this figure which you have on your textbook page number 97. Okay, so this green molecule which you can see over here, this green part, it is the chloroplast which contains the chlorophyll. So that absorbs some of the energy in the visible light. So plants, they have two main types of chlorophyll called chlorophyll A and chlorophyll B. Okay, so you can see in this picture clearly. Together, these two types of chlorophylls, they absorb mostly red and blue wavelengths of visible light. Chlorophyll A and chlorophyll B, these two together, they absorb mostly the red and blue wavelengths of the visible light. Neither type absorbs much green light. So plants have other light absorbing molecules that absorb green light, but there are fewer of those molecules. Okay, so the visible light which is from the sun, it is of three wavelengths, green, blue and red, out of which the red and the blue wavelengths, they are absorbed by the chlorophyll A and B, the chlorophyll which is the pigment which is present in the chloroplast in plants, whereas the green light, it is absorbed by the light absorbing molecules which are present in the plants. So as a result, the green color of plants comes from the reflection of the light's green wavelength by chlorophyll. Okay, so the green color of plants is not only because of this green pigment chlorophyll which is present in the plants, it is also because of the green color which is a reflection of the light's green wavelength by the chlorophyll. Okay, so the plants, they normally have two types of chlorophylls, which are chlorophyll A and chlorophyll B, which we studied from this. Okay, so this picture which you can see, it is the chloroplast in plant cells. It contains a light absorbing molecule called chlorophyll, and leaf cell. Okay, so you can see the various leaf cells over here which contain the chloroplast, and this is the structure of a leaf, and this is the microscopic structure of a leaf which contains the chloroplast. Is it clear so far, girls? Do you have any doubts?
No.
No.
Is it clear?
Yes.
Okay, let me ask you a question. Describe the importance of producers and photosynthesis. Why is it very important, the photosynthesis?
Because
photosynthesis is important because it captures energy from sunlight to make sugar that stores chemical energy.
Excellent. Yeah, right. Right, Layan. So photosynthesis, it is very important because it enables the producers to make their own food by capturing energy from the sunlight and to make the sugars that store the chemical energy. So the food produced, it becomes a source of energy for non-producers or who depend on the producers for food. Excellent. So let's move on to page number 98 from your textbook, wherein we discuss about photosynthesis in plants occurs in the chloroplast. So this figure, which you can see on the screen over here, this is the chloroplast, which contains the chlorophyll in it. Okay, so chloroplasts are the membrane-bound organelles where photosynthesis takes place in plants. Most of the chloroplasts are in leaf cells that are specialized for photosynthesis, which have two main stages. So we shall talk about the two stages in which the photosynthesis takes place. Photosynthesis normally takes place in the chloroplasts, which are present in large number in the leaf cells, because leaves are the main structure in which the photosynthesis takes place. So the chloroplasts, they are present in the leaves. The two main parts of chloroplasts needed for photosynthesis are the grana and the stroma. Okay. So this is the stroma and these are the grana. These are the two structures in the chloroplast in which the photosynthesis takes place. Grana, singular granum, are stacks of coin-shaped membrane enclosed compartments called thylakoids. So these which you can see, the stacks of coins like this single thing is known as a thylakoid. And grana, they are all those stacks of coins which are the stacks of thylakoids, they come under the part grana. And the membrane of the thylakoids contains chlorophyll and other light absorbing molecules and proteins. Okay, so these thylakoids, they are surrounded by a membrane which is made up of chlorophyll, because chlorophyll is contained in the thylakoids, okay, and other light absorbing molecules and also protein. And the stroma is the fluid that surrounds the grana inside the chloroplast. So these grana, they are surrounded by a fluid known as stroma. Okay, so these are the two important parts of the chloroplast. Okay, they are the grana and stroma. Now, what are the grana?
Grana are tufts that's shaped like coins, and stroma, they surround the grana inside the chloroplast.
Very good. Grana are nothing but the thylakoids. The thylakoids are these the coin-shaped stalks. Okay, the stacks of coin-shaped membrane enclosed compartments. These are known as thylakoids, which are all of them are known as grana. Whereas the liquid which surrounds this grana inside the chloroplast, it is known as stroma. Okay, so let's discuss about the light-dependent and the light-independent reactions which take place inside the chloroplast. Okay, so you can see the stage 1 of photosynthesis, it is the light-dependent reactions, and the stage 2 is the light-independent reactions. First, let's discuss about the light-dependent reactions. The light-dependent reactions, they capture energy from the sunlight. And these reactions, they take place within and across the membrane of the thylakoids. Water and sunlight are needed for this stage of photosynthesis. So this is stage 1 where energy is absorbed from the sunlight. Okay, and these reactions, where do they take place? They take place within and across the membrane of thylakoid. That means they are basically taking place in the grana part of the chloroplast. Right, and water and sunlight are needed for this stage of photosynthesis. Water is very, very important, and of course the sunlight which is being absorbed is also very, very important. So what happens in step 1? The chlorophyll which is present in the thylakoid membrane, it absorbs energy from the sunlight. The energy is transferred along the thylakoid membrane, and H2O molecules are broken down and oxygen molecules are released. So this is what takes place in step 1. In step 2, energy carried along the thylakoid membranes is transferred to molecules that carry energy such as ATP. Okay, as for these reactions, sunlight is very, very important. These two steps, they come under the light dependent reaction. Okay, so for these light dependent reactions, sunlight, water and oxygen are very, very important. Okay, so these reactions, they take place in the grana thylakoid membrane. Okay, so what happens in step 1? The chlorophyll, it absorbs energy from the sunlight. See, this is what happens in step 1. Okay, the light dependent reactions, they capture energy from the sunlight. Okay, you can see the step 1, energy from sunlight is absorbed, water molecules are broken down and oxygen is released. You can see this is the thylakoid, okay, and in the thylakoid membrane the chlorophyll is present. You can see this is the thylakoid and the sunlight is being absorbed by the chlorophyll over here. And you can see how the water molecules are broken down and energy is released. Okay, you can see the 6 water molecules which are absorbed And you can also see the oxygen, it is being released in this reaction. Okay, so this is what happens in the light-dependent reactions. Let me repeat again. In step 1, the chlorophyll absorbs energy from the sunlight, as you can see in this picture over here. The energy is transferred along the thylakoid membrane. You can see the energy is transferred over here. You can see the green in color here. Then H2O molecules are broken down. You can see the 6 water molecules which are broken down, and oxygen molecules are released. And you can see 6 oxygen molecules are released. Okay, then in step 2, the energy carried along the thylakoid membrane is transferred. You can see this energy which is released by the breakdown. This is transferred to the molecules that carry energy, such as the ATP. You can see the energy carrying molecules including ATP, they transfer the energy. The energy is released, which is transferred in the ATP molecules. Are these light-dependent reactions clear, my dears?
Yes.
Any doubts?
Yes. No.
Okay, so this is the summary. It takes place in the thylakoids. Water and sunlight are needed. That is why they are light-dependent reactions. Chlorophyll, it absorbs the energy, and energy is transferred along the thylakoid membrane, then to the light-independent reactions. From here, the energy, it is transferred to the light-independent reactions, and during this process, the water molecules are broken down and oxygen molecules are released. Now, let's check out what happens in the light-independent reactions. So the light-independent reactions use energy from the light-dependent reactions to make sugars. So the energy which has been released from the light-independent reactions, it is used, from the light-dependent reactions, it is used in the light-independent reactions over here in order to make the sugars. So these reactions, they occur in the stroma of the chloroplast. Okay, so light-dependent reactions, they take place in the grana, whereas light-independent reactions, they take place in the stroma of the chloroplast. Carbon dioxide molecules are needed during the stage of photosynthesis. So during this stage, carbon dioxide molecules are needed. During the light-dependent reactions, the water molecules and sunlight are needed, and during the light-independent reactions, the carbon dioxide molecules are needed. So what happens in step 3, which is the step 1 of the light-independent reaction? The carbon dioxide is added to a cycle of chemical reactions to build larger molecules, and energy from the light-dependent reactions is used in the reactions. Okay, so you can see the carbon dioxide molecules which are used over here. Carbon dioxide molecules are used to build the sugars. So this is the stroma, the fluid which is outside the thylakoids. Okay, and you can see the formation of 1,6 carbon sugar, which is 1 glucose molecule over here. Okay, so in step 1, the carbon dioxide is added to a cycle of chemical reactions to build larger molecules, which is to build larger molecules of sugars. Then carbon dioxide molecules are needed during this stage of photosynthesis. Then what happens in step 4 is a molecule of a simple sugar is formed. The sugar usually, which is glucose, with the chemical formula of C6H12O6, stores some of the energy that was captured from the sunlight. Okay, so you can see the formation of the sugar, which is a glucose molecule, at the end of the light-independent reaction. In step 4, you can see this is the sugar molecule. The 6 carbon simple sugars are produced, and the sugars are often used to build starches and cellulose. Okay, so this is how you can also write down the equation for this as 6 carbon dioxide plus 6 water gives rise to C6H12O6, which is glucose, plus 6 oxygen molecules. Okay, so let me again summarize the steps which take place in the light-independent reaction. So these are the steps 3 and 4. Light-independent reactions, they make the sugars. They take place in the stroma of the chloroplast, and they need carbon dioxide from the atmosphere for these reactions. They use energy from the light-dependent reactions to build a sugar in a cycle of chemical reactions. So the end result of these reactions is the sugar molecule and oxygen. So you can see the entire equation for this overall process of photosynthesis. It is 6CO2 plus 6H2O gives rise to C6H12O6, which is glucose plus 6 oxygen. Okay, so simple sugars such as glucose are not the only carbohydrates that come from photosynthesis. Plants use simple sugars to build starch and cellulose molecules. And another important product of photosynthesis is oxygen, which is very much needed by us and all the other living things. The entire process is again summarized in this picture. You can see the step 1 and 2 of the light dependent reactions here, and step 3 and 4 of the light independent reactions here. Any doubts, girls? Is it clear about both the steps?
Yes.
Yes.
Any doubts so far?
No.
No.
Okay, so the equation for the whole photosynthesis process is shown as you can see over here. So there are many arrows between the reactions carbon dioxide and water, and the products are 6 carbon, sugar and oxygen. Those arrows tell you that photosynthesis has many steps. That is why so many arrows you can see between this equation. So for example, the light independent reactions, they need only 1 molecule of carbon dioxide at a time, and the 6 carbon sugar, it comes from a reaction that combines 2-3 carbon sugars. Okay, so for each reaction of light independent reaction, they need 1 carbon dioxide molecule, and also enzymes and other chemicals are needed, not just light carbon dioxide and water. We know that light carbon dioxide and water are the important things for this reaction. Apart from that, the plant, it also needs chemicals and also a few enzymes. Okay, so these light enzymes are also needed for this reaction to take place. Glucose and other simple sugars such as fructose are not the only carbohydrates that come from photosynthesis. Plants need the simple sugars to build starch and cellulose molecules. In effect, plants need photosynthesis for their growth and development. And you will learn more about the importance of another product of photosynthesis, which is oxygen, in the coming next topics. Okay, so basically the glucose which has been made, it is used by the plant for its own growth and development, for the making of the cellulose, and also for building the starch and the cellulose molecules. And of course the oxygen which is released, it is used by us for our respiration. It is used up by all the living things on the earth. Okay, if it is clear, shall I ask you a few questions?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, what are the reactants and the products in photosynthesis?
The reactants are
The
carbon dioxide,
carbon, water, sunlight, and products sugar and oxygen.
Very good. The reactants are carbon dioxide and water, and of course you can say sunlight, and the products are glucose and oxygen. And how is energy from sunlight used to make sugar molecules?
The energy is absorbed from sunlight and to generate energy carrying molecules such as the ATP, and then these molecules, they will be transferred to other reactants to make sugar.
Excellently, Alayan. Very good answer. Yeah, so this is how the energy from sunlight is absorbed, and it is used in making the sugar molecules. Perfect. Any doubts, my dears? Other girls, is the topic clear? Any doubts you have?
No.
It's clear.
Is it clear? Hazel, Habiba, Ahad, Arij, Balkis. Balkis is a new girl, is it?
Yes, miss.
How are you, my dear Balkis?
Alhamdulillah, I'm fine. How are you, miss?
Alhamdulillah, I'm great. Is the explanation clear? Is it clear to you about this topic?
Yes.
Any doubts?
No.
Okay. Thank you so much. We have 38 attendees. I believe everybody is present today, right? No absentees. Okay, great. How much time is left?
5 minutes.
5 minutes left. Okay, so shall we quickly solve the worksheet then if you don't have any questions? Okay, so let's review what we learned. What are the main things which we learned from this topic today?
Yeah, the revision, how it takes place, and the parts of the chloroplast that are involved in photosynthesis, with the Grana and Stroma, and the light dependent and independent reactions. Would you like me to explain each one?
No, thank you so much. So this is pretty much about it. We discussed about the overview, the entire process of photosynthesis. We discussed about the parts of the chloroplast, and as Lee mentioned, we discussed about the light dependent and the light independent reactions, right? So so this picture, this clearly gives you a picture of course it is a chloroplast and how this photosynthesis takes place in the leaf. Okay, you don't have any questions, so obviously answering worksheet is the assignment. So let's go ahead and solve the worksheet. Let me open it for you.